Apollo 11, well asleep. This is Jim Swiler. The Apollo 11 astronauts still are asleep this morning as their spacecraft heads back to Earth just under 3,000 miles an hour. Space officials expect cloudy skies and seas of 3 feet in the Pacific splashdown area. They describe these conditions as acceptable. For a report, we switch to mission control in Houston.
Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Mike Collins remain asleep in the Apollo 11 command module as it heads back to Earth for a splashdown in the Pacific Ocean on Thursday. The crew began their well-deserved rest period shortly after the service propulsion system engine fired at 11:57 p.m. Central Daylight Time last night and sent the Apollo 11 on a trans-Earth trajectory. Although the rest period is scheduled to end about 11:30 a.m. Houston time, Mission Control has reported that they will allow the space trio to sleep as long as they please. Mission Control reports that the weather in the Pacific recovery area will be acceptable during recovery.
Meteorology group reported this morning that weather conditions in the primary landing area are expected to be acceptable. Sky partly cloudy, winds easterly at 10 knots, and seas of 3 feet are predicted. Tropical storm Claudia is now located 2,300 miles east of the landing area and will not affect the weather in the landing area Thursday.
Meanwhile, manned second moon landing, Apollo 12, probably will be launched in November with a landing made in the western hemisphere of the moon. General Samuel Phillips, director of the Apollo program, says Monday the final site selection for the second manned lunar landing has not been completed, but there will be a point near the lunar sea that will be picked for the landing. British astronomer Sir Bernard Lovell says this morning the Apollo 11 and Luna 15 maneuvers at the moon demonstrated American superiority and sharply increased the chances of U.S. and Soviet cooperation in space. He says, quote, "This is the first time the United States has been demonstrably superior in a vital part of space exploration and a space program." Here at home, 7 Louisiana members of Congress agree that their talk with President Nixon concerning public school desegregation has not been a waste of time. The House members met with the president to express their concern over the appellate court ruling of 37 school districts to abandon freedom of choice desegregation plans. They said Nixon expressed an understanding that they have not previously reached. Opponents of a Dome Stadium lease agreement say they will appeal to the nation's highest court following the refusal of the Louisiana Supreme Court to grant a rehearing in favor of the agreement. In a 4-2 decision yesterday, the state court refused to reconsider the appeal of its decision upholding the lease agreement between the state and the stadium district. The head of the Louisiana Stadium District, Dave Dixon, was pleased with the decision of the court yesterday. 2020 newsman David Lawrence has that report.
Following yesterday's state Supreme Court decision in favor of the Louisiana Dome Stadium's lease with the state, Dave Dixon, executive director of the Louisiana Dome Stadium Commission, who is in Washington, told 2020 News, "This is a great day for New Orleans and for Louisiana. It almost certainly means the economic rebirth of our community and a giant new industry for the state." He added that the support of everyone is needed for the project to realize its full potential for all citizens. Dixon paid particular tribute to a wonderful and steadfast governor and the members of the Dome Stadium Commission. Dixon is in Washington for a meeting today between over 100 local leaders and federal officials. This is David Lawrence, WTIX 2020 News.
140 New Orleans business and civic leaders are in Washington today to meet with federal officials in efforts to obtain funds for a variety of projects. Representative Hale Boggs set up the meeting for the group, which is seeking money and solutions in the fields of transportation, airports, housing, schools, pollution, recreation, and environmental problems. A delegation met with baseball officials yesterday in an effort to get a major league franchise for the Crescent City. The secretary of the Dome Stadium Commission, William Connick, presented plans to Baseball Commissioner Bowie Keene, stressing the advantages of the 56,000-seat capacity for the Dome for baseball. 2020 News headlines: White 8 Line, Saigon, South Vietnamese President Tu apparently has run into trouble in its efforts to create a more broadly based government. Geneva, the Soviet Union has virtually rejected a proposal to ban biological weapons, claiming it ought to include a chemical arms ban as well. San Salvador, demands by San Salvador are threatening its ceasefire agreement with Honduras. Plymouth, Pennsylvania. Senator Edward Kennedy has arrived in Pennsylvania to attend the funeral of the girl who died when his car plunged into a Massachusetts pond. WTIX Sports, the New Orleans Saints continue twice daily drills today to prepare for a 2-game scrimmage series with the San Diego Chargers. The first scrimmage will be held Thursday and a second one on Saturday. Coach Tom Fears says he's pleased with the first 2 days of practice for his National Football League team. He says the Saints are a much better team this year and look much more determined. WTIX Professional Journalism in New Orleans.
There we go, Prince.
Harold Life Insurance Company.
Just ahead of much more music and the real Robert Mitchell. Look for partly cloudy skies today, tonight, and tomorrow with showers and thunder showers likely mainly during the daytime. The high today, 90. In New Orleans now, 76 degrees, clear skies. This is Jim Swiler, WTIX 2020 News.